This is, as Heather said, a quick talk about the postgraduate provision in philosophy at the University of Birmingham. My name is Michael Rush. I'm the head of the postgraduate taught programs for the School of Philosophy, Theology and Religion, in which the Department of Philosophy is situated. I'm also a lecturer in philosophy. That photograph of me is redundant, really, because I can see you've already seen my face. Anyway, that's me again in that picture. The philosophy department, as I say, is in the School of Philosophy, Theology and Religion. That's itself situated within the College of Arts and Law in the university. The college is also home to other schools, the law school, as you can tell by the name, but also schools containing departments of modern languages and English, drama, music, various other associated schools, departments. And I'm going to be just talking about the philosophy department. I think it's useful to know, the way that we're situated within these other divisions of the university. And in some of the degree programs, you will have an opportunity to study modules from some of these other departments. I'll mention that a bit later on if anybody is interested. I can give you a bit more detail. The department is large and diverse, philosophically diverse. Got current research projects, prestigious international research projects in philosophy of psychology, philosophy of physics, and philosophy of religion. And those produce conferences now and again, which you will have obviously access to. So you can be engaged in the research culture of the department, even while you're on a taught postgraduate program. We're keen to involve you and sort of have you think of yourself as a full member of the department, involved in all of those research sides as well. At the moment, we have 29 teaching research staff. You wouldn't naturally encounter all of those people. Some people are contracted to those research projects long term, so you probably don't encounter them so much. But the majority of those 29 people are teaching staff who you may well come into contact with, depending on which modules you choose. And we can say more about modules afterwards if people are interested as well. That's a sort of representative sample. As you can see, there's not 29 faces there, but that was, some people whose photographs are available is the only criterion I had for choosing those people there. Some maybe, I don't know, I can't say they're the most photogenic people given that I'm on that screen, but anyway, a representative sample of the members of the department. You would be joining, if you come to Birmingham to do philosophy, a postgraduate community of, at the moment, this year, 90 master's students. Those students are divided into on-campus students and distance learning students. I don't know what the split is of the people who are listening to this talk now, whether you're thinking of coming to do a degree with us on campus or by distance learning. But we have 2 distance learning programs, 5 on-campus programs, which I'll mention in a second. At the moment, the 90 master's students at the moment are divided into 63 full-time students and 27 part-time students. Most of those are new this year. We have a couple of part-time students finishing from last year. So obviously some of those, a large number of those part-time students will be here again next year. The degree programs that we offer are the following. There's an MA in philosophy. There's an MA in philosophy of mind and cognitive science. There's an MA in international law, ethics and politics, or ILEP for short. An MA in philosophy of religion and ethics, and an MSc in global ethics and justice. And the last 2 of those are programs that also have distance learning versions. So it may be that you're applying to one or other of those, or thinking of applying to one or other of those. And let me say a little bit about the content of those courses. Each of those programs is a modular degree program, and that means that you get to design your own version of the program, but it also means that there is overlap between those programs. So if you chose the MA in philosophy, you might end up doing largely the same or even the same modules as somebody who chose the MA in philosophy of mind and cognitive science. But you have the option to choose different things. And in the ones that are not MA philosophy, you also have required core modules that sort of make it distinctively the degree program that it is, that give it the sort of the flavor, the heart of the program. That's true for philosophy of religion and ethics, global ethics and justice, and mind and cognitive science. They have different required modules. Each of those required modules is also an optional module on all of the other programs, so there's nothing that's kind of barred from you. ILEP is a bit different. As you can see by the name of it, it's a program that is run across different departments. Law, as I mentioned, is in the same college as we are in. Politics is in a different college, but also kind of coordinates with us to run this program. And if you do the ILEP program, you get to choose modules. There's a sort of requirement of doing at least one module from each department, and there are required modules. You get a choice of required modules because of the option of doing one in law or one in philosophy. So that's the sort of dissertation preparation module, the research skills module. You can do that in either law or philosophy, whereas other programs all do the philosophy version. The distinctive thing about the ILEP program that isn't true for any of the other ones is that you can do your dissertation, which is a third of your program, in one of those other departments. And I'm telling you about it in this presentation rather than those other ones, is because we own this program. It's based in philosophy, but you do get that option to complete a large portion of your program if you wish to, if you choose to, in those other departments. If you have any questions about the dissertation, please pop them in the Q&A and we can talk about that later on. I mentioned the research skills module. Every program has that as a compulsory component, although the philosophy of religion and ethics gives you a choice of doing the one in theology rather than philosophy, and ILEP gives you a choice of doing one in law rather than philosophy. Philosophy is available for all 5 programs, and at least one research skills module is compulsory element for every program that you might choose. As for representative sample of modules, we have modules in all of the ones you would expect given the titles of those programs. So we've got global ethics modules, there's a human rights module, there's a module in philosophy of religion broadly conceived, and there is a sort of smattering of what you might call typical philosophy modules. So we have epistemology, and metaphysics and philosophy of mind are represented in our usual spread of available modules. Things have been slightly different this year because of the pandemic. We had all of our teaching has gone to co-teaching, so all the modules have 2 conveners, and we had to sort of refine the offering a little bit. So some of the ones that were previously separate modules have been combined. It's not clear yet what that's going to be like next year, but it's working very well this year. It's rather nice to teach alongside colleagues on the one module, in fact, seems to be getting quite a lot out of that mostly. So you can ask about all of that stuff in the Q&A as well, if you would like to. I'm going to say something about studying philosophy at Birmingham. This is the sort of mechanics of it. We have another presentation after this, which will give you more of a student perspective on this, on these questions as well. Full-time students usually do 3 modules per semester in the first 2 semesters. So you end up having done 6 modules of taught program, and then the dissertation, which is guided independent study. Each of the modules you study would be 2 hours of seminar time per week, which usually takes place as one 2-hour seminar, at which you do all of the things you would imagine from a philosophy degree, sort of discussing readings, having lecture components to the course delivered either by at the moment, either by Zoom or in person, depending on the context. And you also get to contact the people who are running those modules outside of that time. We have office hours where you can consult with us, and we sort of encourage you to talk to us as much as you need to outside of that 2-hour seminar slot. As I say, the emphasis is on guided independent learning. That's true for the taught components as well, but most especially for the dissertation. And the dissertation is worth 1/3 of your degree. You devise your own project, and during semester 1, sort of refine your ideas, plan how the project's going to go, and then you get a supervisor based on what topic you're going to be working on. And from semester 2 onwards, so semester 2 and semester 3, all the way through to the end of August, you would work with your supervisor on that dissertation project. And the dissertation project needn't be connected to any one of your modules. It can be it can be on a topic, provided we can supervise that topic. Then you can do any topic you like in philosophy. So it just has to be the case that somebody who is available to teach that year is able to supervise that dissertation topic. So as I say, there's 29 staff. Not quite all of them are available for teaching in any given year. Some of them are on the research projects, but it leaves a lot of scope, even beyond the modules that you might be studying more formally, more in classroom-based. Formally is the wrong word. The ones that you're being taught in a more traditional kind of way. You can go beyond that, and the dissertation can be on anything that takes your fancy in a very wide range of philosophical topics indeed. So I say the supervision kicks in January for semester 2 and semester 3 all through the summer, and your degree program is a year long, so that finishes at the end of August. You would submit the final version of your dissertation. More than happy to take questions about dissertations as well. If you've got specific kind of expertise topic type questions, whether you'd be able to do a dissertation in that sort of thing at Birmingham, try pitching that at me if you want to. Happy to take any of those kind of questions, but also you can always email me afterwards if you want a sort of fuller discussion of anything like that. It's worth remembering, I think, the reason why we're all here. It's just worth coming to study philosophy. Never mind the ins and outs of the details of how it works at Birmingham. It's a great thing to be doing. It's a valuable thing for you, a skill that you can transfer to other areas of your life, both for your career, but also for just interacting with other things you already find interesting. That level of joy that you can see in that photograph can be yours. That's Professor Al Wilson with a copy of his own recent book. So we can all be that thrilled about Al's book, but he, I think, is particularly pleased with that. But that enjoyment is a crucial part of it. So we're keen all the way through the programs, all of your modules and your dissertation, to sort of capture that reason why you started doing philosophy in the first place. You found it fascinating, and hopefully in doing a postgraduate program in philosophy at Birmingham, you'd find a specialism that you can be even more thoroughly fascinated by. And that's what we hope for all of you, and we're more than happy to encourage and help you towards that goal. So thanks very much for your time listening to this presentation. As I said before, we have another presentation, as Heather mentioned, we have another presentation. Olivia is going to talk to us. She's one of our current, there we go, there's Olivia, one of our current master's students, and it has very kindly agreed to tell you about that experience and hopefully say encouraging things about how great it is to come and study at Birmingham. We'll see how that goes. I've not, no money has changed hands. I'll stop sharing my screen and hand over to Olivia. And as I say, if you want to keep putting questions in the Q&A, then happy to discuss any part of that, any part of the things that I've mentioned after Olivia has given her talk. So let me stop sharing my screen. I can. I can't. What's going on? There we go. There it is. Thank you.
Get
Cheers.
my screen on first. Give me a sec. Hopefully that's working. Can everyone see? Okay, so thanks, Michael. It's really nice to sort of meet you. Well, I can't see any of your faces, but thank you for coming here today and engaging with what is supposed to be a really exciting experience. So I'm here to talk about what it's like to be a philosophy student at University of Birmingham. Just a quick background. So I'm doing the MA in the philosophy of mind and cognitive science, but what I can say will apply to all the philosophy degrees to some extent, because as Michael said, there's a lot of crossover between modules. And my background is that I didn't do an undergraduate in philosophy at all. I did an undergraduate in medicine. So I will probably have a bit more to talk about in terms of what it's like to come to philosophy new as well to Birmingham, but can talk generally about the course as well. So I remember being in your position when I was trying to decide, should I study philosophy at all? What area should I study? Where should I study? Why should I study? And all these areas, all these things to think about. And I thought it would be useful for me to talk through my decision process, and maybe that'll be helpful for you as well. So why I went for University of Birmingham as opposed to somewhere else. So I'm originally from London. I've lived in London my whole life, studied my undergrad in London, worked in London, and I just thought I'd want to change of scenery. There are lots of people here who are from Birmingham originally, but I thought sort of this new city, new place, lots to do, lots to see. University of Birmingham itself is very highly ranked, has a very good reputation. I thought that was really important, of course, because we're all thinking about sort of where do we go on from here as well. If you want to go on to postgraduate research, having a university of good reputation is always very good, sort of important factor to consider, but also employment, we're all thinking about employment as well. So having University of Birmingham is very well ranked, and the philosophy department is also very, very highly regarded as well. So that was one big factor for me. Sort of maybe a different vein is I just thought the campus looked really, really beautiful. And I did my undergraduate in somewhere which wasn't a campus uni, and I felt that, I mean, this is maybe a minor point for some people, but feeling like part of the university sort of environment, when you come onto campus, you see the other students there, you see all the sort of facilities for the students, all the markets and things, that makes you feel like part of the community. And I really felt before coming to Birmingham that would be important, and now having come to Birmingham, that would be sort of a factor. Of course, with COVID and things, it's a bit more difficult to be on campus too much, but even so, I still feel more part of the community than I would otherwise, I think. Also thinking about what the university is like, what is there to do here? A good thing I looked at initially was sort of what sort of societies are here, what can I do when I'm here, what things I do outside my course. And there are lots of really sort of fun sort of societies you can join and try new things. I can think of a few off the top of my head when I was looking through researching. Sort of Bad Film Society I thought was a funny one. Japan Society, arts, sports. There's lots to do basically, and it's an exciting city to be in. So that's sort of Birmingham and University of Birmingham in general. But I'm sure you're all here not for this part of the talk, but really why philosophy here and what made me choose philosophy here specifically. So before I came here, I did sort of my research at different programs at different universities, and what really, really attracted me to doing philosophy here was the expertise of the researchers here, or of the faculty members here, because ultimately you're here to, well, a big portion of what you'll be learning will be, what you'll be doing will be your dissertation, and to have someone who is has expertise in an area you're interested in or could potentially be interested in is vital for what you want to do. So here at philosophy, at Birmingham, there's the philosophy of mind, psychology and psychiatry research cluster, which was relevant for me because I wanted to do the philosophy of mind and cognitive science MA. And I sort of had a look at people on the panel, and I had a look at what sort of research was being done here. And I thought that the interdisciplinary nature of this type of research would be really, really useful for things I could potentially want to go into. And now I know this is specifically for philosophy of mind, but outside of my degree program, they also have research clusters in ethics and other areas as well. And the whole range of philosophy that was being done here at Birmingham was really, really inspiring for me. And that's sort of reflected in the range of optional modules you can do. So what Michael was saying is that basically you can pick and design your own course. So even though I have my core modules in the philosophy of mind, cognitive science, psychiatry, I also can pick anything else I want to. So I'm doing a module in ethics and metaphysics, a philosophy of religion one as well. So in fact, one of my friends I've made on the course, he and I basically have exactly the same modules apart from one, but he's got the philosophy, his degree program is called Philosophy Wise, mine is Philosophy of Mind, Cognitive Science. So what I really liked about this course is that you can pick based on your own interests. You can tailor the course to what you like. You can get a sense, if you're someone like me who doesn't have a background in philosophy and you don't really know exactly what you want to specialize in or what you want to spend more time in, it's useful to have that overview. And if you're someone with very specific interests, you can also pick your modules to match that. So that's sort of what I was thinking about before I came here. So now I'm here. What is it like? One thing that's really, really struck me is that the staff really, really care. I really feel like I'm part of the philosophy department. I feel very supported. And I think on the slide you can see it says BA students came back. What I mean by that is I was surprised that a lot of the people who had done philosophy as their undergraduate coming here actually had done the undergraduate here at Birmingham and came back because they liked it so much. And I always think that's a very good sign for a department. If you have your undergraduate students and none of them like it, they all leave to go philosophy somewhere else. I think that's a bit worrying because maybe there's something else going on. But a lot of the people I meet here who did philosophy here. They like the staff, they like the environment, they like the learning environment, they like the sort of atmosphere here, and they've come back because they liked it so much. So I think that's always a good thing. And at least for people like me who have no background in philosophy, I came here quite worried in many ways. Will I cope with the course? Will I cope with having to write essays? I haven't done that in years and years. Will I cope writing philosophy essays? And I think the staff really understand that. But they also understand that they have students who have done philosophy for 3 years and to try and accommodate both perspectives. So one way they've done that to support students like me is they've given the option of writing essays that are shorter, 2,000 word essays rather than one 4,000 word essay to start off with and try to just get a hang of writing essays. So I thought that was a really kind thing to do and really understanding thing to do. And also some of the modules and when you're doing the reading for the week come with sort of extra notes or extra lectures that you can watch to give you more of a background if you don't understand, but also to try and to stimulate your interest in the subject as well. And as Michael has talked about sort of the structure of how teaching is done, it's a 2-hour seminar per module per week. So all the there's no lectures as such, so all the learning will be done during your reading time during the week, and then you sort of spend the seminars discussing the ideas that come from the reading, any questions, clarifications and things like that. So it's just a different way of learning than what I was used to. And I found this style of learning, at least how it's done here, really, really engaging because we all spend the time during the week getting into the reading and trying to come up with questions. And when everyone who's interested in the subject comes together and gets to discuss those ideas in a seminar, you get really fruitful and really interesting discussion. I'm really, really happy that I'm here in this environment right now. Another aspect of being a student here, not just in specifically philosophy, but as a kind of general student in Birmingham, I found really helpful is that there's lots of sort of support for career planning, looking beyond what can I do with my degree? What can I do whilst I'm here to make the most of my degree from when I leave this environment? And there's lots of sort of career fairs, career skills, CV planning skills, ideas about how to explore your degree further, how you can apply the degree, volunteering opportunities, all these things that are like a very resource-rich environment for you to get the most out of your degree here and beyond. And again, a huge focus on well-being, especially I guess this year because of COVID and the fact that it could be possibly quite isolating, but I haven't felt that to be the case just because there's been so much support available. I've got a picture here of the university library, just because maybe it's a bit of a nerdy thing, but I just thought that the sort of facilities here are really, really great. The library, for example, is just this huge, bright open space, lots of quiet and shared study spaces, a good environment for learning. There are lots of spaces like this on campus. And again, part of that campus feeling is just being with other students in a really nice environment. So just to give you a flavour of what my typical week is like, it's going to look pretty empty. So I've got the research methods, which is one of the core modules that Michael talked about. I've got a module, a 2-hour seminar in ethics and global ethics. And then on Friday, I've got this philosophy, mind and cognitive science combined module. And it's next tutor on Thursday. So it looks pretty empty. I mean, in the evenings, I do some sort of society related things, all on Zoom at the moment, unfortunately. But sort of initially before coming here, I thought, well, what will I do with my time? It looks like I won't have very much to do. So, well, this is what I actually do all the time. And it's not a bad thing. I really enjoy the reading that we get to do. And as I said before, the more you, the more you put into the reading, the more you try and understand what you're reading and then bring questions to the reading. You take all those things, you take it to the seminars, you'll get more out of the seminars. And there are differences sometimes between seminars where some people haven't really engaged so much reading when people have, and you really get the sense of the value. So basically, the more you put in, the more you get out of it. And so far, I've been mailing with people who are really keen and really excited, especially because we're all here to do masters, aren't we? We're here because we want to be, not because we have to be. And it's always really great when we take more out of it. So basically, it doesn't look like much, but it's a lot, and you can get so much out of it just from the reading and how you engage. And also, as Michael said, there's the office hours, there's the emailing, there's all the other things, sort of talking to the other students outside the seminars and things. All that is part of the learning experience, and the more you engage with it, the more you get out of the week. I'll talk briefly about extracurricular. As I said before, a lot to do at the university. There are over 250 groups and societies on campus itself. You can do things from rock climbing to rugby to art to philosophy, to all sorts of things, something for everyone. When things are probably more back to normal, there'll be more opportunities to work on campus. There's also volunteering involved. I saw some things about volunteering for sort of kids in other schools and teaching. You can really tailor your experience to as much as you want to get out of it, basically. So I won't talk too much about extracurricular, because I imagine that's not exactly what you're here for today. But there's also sort of things to do. Birmingham generally, as I alluded to, there's so much to do. And even despite lockdown and COVID pandemic and whatever, I've managed to see a few things. There's the open air museum where Peaky Blinders is filmed. There's the botanical gardens. There's so much to do here, and it's really exciting. I'm looking forward to particularly going to Digbeth, which is a sort of creative area in Birmingham. The city centre is only 10-15 minutes away by bus. You're near 2 towns with a lot of 2 high streets. It's convenient living here. It's a great place. I feel very much at home here, and I'm really glad I've come here. So I think that's sort of the end of my talk, and we'll be going on to questions. But if there's anything specific about your worries or what it's like or anything about the module, feel free to ask. But I guess my closing remark is I'm really glad I'm here. I'm really glad I came here, and the pandemic hasn't really put much of a dent in my plans because it's just such a great place to be. So thank you for listening.